Body parts grown in the lab. In recent years, scientists have successfully grown a range of miniature organs and human body parts in the lab. Regrowing a missing limb is no big deal for creatures that are well known for their regenerative superpowers like starfish or salamanders, but what about humans? Individual cells in your body are constantly being replaced as they wear out. For example, the outer layer of your skin is shed roughly every 4 weeks. However, regenerating complete organs and body parts is beyond the scope of human biology. Nevertheless, in recent years, scientists have successfully grown a range of replica human body parts in the lab. These include miniature organs or organoids that are grown from stem cells and organ-on-a-chip models, in which cells from specific tissues are grown on credit card-sized devices that mimic the physiological conditions of an organ in the human body. These approaches allow scientists to study human organs during the health and disease at a level of accuracy that was impossible with animal models. As such, it's hoped that they will expedite the development of new drugs. And here are some recent examples. Fallopian tubes. In 2015, scientists used stem cells in a lab dish to grow the innermost cellular layer of human fallopian tubes, the structures that connect the ovaries and the uterus. And in an accompanying statement, researchers described the resulting organoids as sharing the features of real full-size fallopian tubes, such as their characteristic shape. They were even able to identify 2 signaling pathways that are needed for continual growth of the organoids, meaning that scientists can study them for longer. The brain. Over the past decade, researchers developed increasingly sophisticated miniature 3D versions of the human brain, or mini-brains, in the lab. Scientists have grown mini models of the human embryonic brain and spinal cord mini-brains that have their own set of eyes, and models specifically grown from fetal brain tissue. Brain organoids are even being grown in space to study accelerated aging and the development of neurological diseases such as Alzheimer's disease. And the heart. In 2024, scientists used stem cells to grow mini human hearts in the lab. These replica hearts, which are similar to smaller than a grain of rice, have blood cells and all the cell types that are usually found in the human heart. They even beat like the real thing. Separately, researchers are also developing so-called heart-on-a-chip devices to study heart disease, as well as how the heart heals after injury, and to evaluate the safety and efficacy of new drugs. Such models have also been sent to space to decipher how microgravity affects the heart. Kidneys. 2015, scientists grew a mini kidney in the lab. The organoid, which contained all the different cell types found in the human kidney, was grown from stem cells using a combination of growth-inducing chemicals. It resembled the kidney of a developing fetus and could be used for drug testing, said the team who developed it. And the lung. Researchers have grown 3D lung organoids in the lab that developed airway structures called bronchi and small lung sacs known as alveoli. These mini lungs can mimic the responses of real tissue and would be a good model to study how organs form and change with disease and how they might respond to new drugs. The stomach. In 2014, scientists grew mini stomachs in a lab dish. The organoids took around a month to develop and form oval-shaped, hollow structures that had insides with folds like those seen in the human stomach. Jim Wells, one of the researchers who developed it and professor of developing biology at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, said, "The tiny stomachs, which measured about 0.1 inches, that's 3 millimeters in diameter, will be especially helpful to scientists studying the effects of certain species of bacteria called Helicobacter pylori that causes gastric disease," Wells said. This is because H. pylori behaves differently in animal subjects than it does in humans. Vagina. In 2014, a study published in the journal The Lancet described the successful transplantation of lab-grown vaginas in 4 teenage patients between age 13 and 18. The organoids were created by nurturing the patient's cells on vagina-shaped scaffolds in the lab. They were transplanted into the patients with the hope of correcting a congenital defect in which the vagina and uterus were either missing or underdeveloped. The teenagers were examined annually for 8 years after the transplant surgery, during which time the organs functioned normally, allowing pain-free intercourse, and the team reported. Almost a decade later, scientists developed the world's first vagina on a chip. The device was around 1 inch long and contained the live human cells, which could be inoculated with bacteria that normally resides in the human vagina. Penis. Scientists have also grown penile erectile tissue in the lab using cells from rabbits. The lab-grown penises, which were developed in 2014, could be transplanted into male rabbits who went on to mate successfully. The aim is that these penis organoids could be given to men with groin injuries or congenital abnormalities such as soldiers injured in combat. However, at the time the research was still in an experimental stage, with approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, required for the team to extend its work and incorporate human tissue and subjects. The ear. Scientists have 3D printed human ears, which were made from growing living cells around the ear shaped mold for approximately 3 months. The mold was created by modeling a child's ear using 3D software and then sending the model to a 3D printer. Researchers then seeded the 3D printer mold with a cocktail of living cow ear cells as well as collagen from the rat tails to support the cell's growth. The artificial ears were then implanted into rats for 1 to 3 months while scientists evaluated how the organs changed in size and shape as they grew. The next step will be to look at the use of human ear cells rather than those from cows. The hope is to eventually create a replacement ear for children who are born with microtia, a congenital deformity in which the external ear does not develop properly, often leading to hearing loss. They've even made colons and testicles, and even placentas. So this is, and also blood vessels. This is on Live Science by Mindy Weisberger. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. My Patreon account, the daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.